Este es Aaron con E de AnaComputers.com. Otro video para ti. Uy! Gonna install Centos Linux 7 on a Fujitsu Q572 tablet computer. Alright, I have to choose the correct... Oh shit. It may or may not work because it might have been too late. No, there it is. There it is. Alright, so I want to select the top one. You can, with the installation USB flash drive, you can test the media, troubleshoot, but I want start Centos. So I'm going to boot off this USB flash drive, and then I'm going to actually install the operating system. So this is a Fujitsu Q572 tablet. It's pretty old. It's only a dual core. However, it's one of the best computers I've ever owned, and that includes desktops, laptops, because it's fucking solid. I've dropped it a couple of times, which you're really not supposed to. Nothing happened to this motherfucker. The screen has a very tough screen on it. It's got a few scratches because it's used, but the motherfucker has been very reliable for me, so I include it as one of the best computers I've ever owned. You can get new ones. It's a paradox. They're old, but they're new in box. You can get quad cores for I think $100 on Amazon. This one was $43.05. I picked it up at a used computer store in Denver, Colorado. And I never owned a tablet. I was going to buy a Fire tablet that sometimes you can buy for $35, brand new, but I was too late, and by the time I was going to order one, it was $50, and I was like, fuck it. And then I went and looked online, and I found this one. Anyways, it's designed for Windows 7, microcrap, microchip, microslop, Windows 7 operating system. I installed Windows 10 on it. It was okay. I loaded MX Linux on it, which I'm going to wipe over. I don't like MX Linux anymore. I'm converting all of my computers to Centos 7. Centos 7 is based off of Red Hat Enterprise Linux. It's the free version. You do not get any support. Red Hat Enterprise Linux is a support contract, and it can be very expensive, and a lot of corporations use Red Hat Enterprise Linux, actually. So this is just the free version of Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7. I love Centos. Centos 7 is my favorite Linux distribution. It's not bleeding edge, however, it's very reliable. A lot of web hosters use Centos 7. A lot of virtual private network, VPS providers, virtual private server providers that you purchase a virtual private server from. Most times, if they sell Linux distributions, if they sell VPSs with Linux, virtual private server with Linux operating system, they almost always include Centos 7. x86 or x64. To me, it's the most stable version of Linux I've ever used, Centos 7. It's not bleeding edge. It can be difficult finding certain software. I don't give a fuck about that. I'm sick and tired of this bullshit. Sick and tired of, using garbage operating systems. It's going to take a little while. It's a dual core 1 gigahertz, I think. That's very slow. And it's also, installing off a flash drive. So it's going to take a little while to boot. But I tested this earlier and it works just fine. Let me move the screen a little bit. As you can see on screen, it booted just fine. I'll give it a few more seconds. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to install it right from the desktop. If you notice, there's a live install.desktop. You may be able to see it, you may not. Now you have to, I don't know why this annoys me. I don't know why the fuck Centos 7 now includes this bullshit where you have to go through this crap to get to the desktop. I don't know what the fuck that is, but it's real easy. You just click next. You make sure you choose your correct language. You don't want to get the wrong one. Then you would just click next. Then the keyboard, just make sure it's in the correct language that you want. click next. As you can see, the touchpad already works. I'm not going to worry about Wi-Fi because I don't want you to know what SSID I connect to, so I'm not going to fuck with Wi-Fi. I'm going to click skip. But if you notice, the touch screen works because I don't even have a mouse hooked. I only have 2 universal serial bus connections on this tablet. It does have HDMI. I'm going to turn off privacy. You know what I'm saying? I don't want location services turned on. I can always turn that back on. So I'm just going to click the square, and then now it's off, and then I'm going to click, well, I'm going to press next on the touchscreen. I was pleasantly surprised that the touchscreen works because I went back and you're ready to go. I went back and I kind of studied, and before I even attempted Centos. Now I already had the USB flash drive installed. You need what, at least I would say 4 to 8 gigabyte flash drive for the most recent version of Centos, although there's different versions. I downloaded the Centos 7 live DVD or live CD. There's like 3 or 4 different ones now. It's about, I think, 1.4 gigabytes total. You know what I'm saying? So you would need, well, you could get away with 2 gigabytes, but I don't know. I would think that most USB flash drives, universal serial bus, probably are only sold in 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, whatever. So you just click on start using. I don't know why the fuck you have to go through that bullshit. And to me, that's not necessary. I just want to test the live, USB flash drive. I don't want to have to go through that bullshit. I'm not aware that you can skip all that. I don't know why you have to go ahead and set up the language and the keyboard, and it asks you for Wi-Fi. I don't know why that is. I've installed Centos before, and this is something new, but I'm not complaining. It's just whatever. So as you can see, you've got to getting started. I'm not going to go over any of this. But as you can see, there's videos that you can watch, browse the web, connect to entire accounts, get online, change the date, time, and time zone, use the system search, launch applications, change the wallpaper, use windows and workspaces, switch tasks. I don't give a shit about any of this. I'm going to close this window. And now I'm just going to install it. Now you can get to the installer by clicking on applications, but it works. I'm running Centos 7, which it's not bleeding edge, but it's the most recent version of Centos operating system available. It's completely free. I think Centos 8 is in the works. I think it's still in beta. I looked for the download and I could not find the official release, but I could be wrong, but I think it's still in beta. But anyways, Centos 7 has been around for a while, and I'm fine with it. I've used it before. I've used it in virtual private server environments where it's just command line. It's going to be a minimal install, and I just love Centos 7, man. I mean, it's not perfect. You're probably never going to find a perfect operating system because humans are the entities that create operating systems, and humans are fallible, right? I know I'm not perfect. Oh, but I know the YouTube technology shills, they all claim that they're perfect. They're omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. So let's go ahead with the install. So you would just click on the live INST desktop right here. Just double click that. You're going to get a prompt, untrusted. Just click on trust and launch. I don't know what the fuck this is about. I don't know if this is security enhanced Linux, but whatever. So you notice how the touchpad works real well? There was only a couple times that I had to press twice, and that's probably because I'm kind of being cautious. I don't want the tablet to move because, anyways, it's kind of propped up in a weird way, but whatever. I was a little bit worried that the touch screen would not work because when I first researched Centos 7 on tablets, I didn't find a whole lot about Fujitsu's, but I did notice that some people were having problems installing Centos 7 on tablets, and they claimed that they couldn't get it to work, or they had to fuck around with some configuration file. I'm hoping that it will work. Okay, that if it works with the live USB, hopefully when I do install it and the first time it boots, it should work. If not, I'll have to fuck with config files. All right, so we're going to click continue. Just make sure you select the language that you want. It's, I think, only 1 and 4. Oh, it's now this is where this might take a little bit longer because I have a keyboard, but so it's missing installation destination, and so we're going to click on that. And then make sure you select the correct device. This tablet has a 64 gigabyte, I think it's 64 gigabyte hard drive. I think it's a flash drive. I'm pretty sure it's like I don't know if it's technically a solid state drive, but I think it is based upon flash. Anyways, so we're going to select that. You just select it and make sure there's a checkbox. Then what you want to do is you want to make sure that you don't. Here's a tip. If you're a newbie to Linux, I would even say intermediate to advanced. When it comes to encrypting Linux, you need to become careful. It's just like any other operating system encryption. You can encrypt Microsoft Windows, you can encrypt Mac and crap, and you can encrypt Winblows. Excuse me, political correctness. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I should have iterated Winblows, but you know, I'm not perfect. However, you have to know the unlock key, the passphrase. If you forget it, you're fucked. And the same thing with Linux. I'm going to choose automatically configure partitioning because I've used Linux for 16 years now, at least 16 years. And I've never fucked with partitions except for once or twice, and I gave up because I thought it was fucking a waste of time. Yeah, if you're a web hoster or a virtual private server provider, you may want to mess around with partition schemes. You can change the size of the home directory, the amount of disk space allocated. You can change the size of the /user dev or /user or whichever folder the directory that the software gets installed, but I'm not going to even worry about it. Or the root directory, I'm not going to worry about it. Then I'm going to click on I think I just click on done. I do not want to encrypt it because I've actually learned my lesson. I had one Linux distribution that I encrypted and the hard drive failed, and I did know the passphrase, but I could not fucking rectify it, and I lost all my data. Now, if I would not have encrypted that Linux file partition, I would have been able to access my data. I would have been able to recover it because the hard drive was failing, but I was able to actually get my computer to access the partition, so I fucked up. All right. What I want to do is reclaim space. What that means is that I want to use the entire hard drive. I don't want to install a second Linux version. You can do that and then leave the old MX Linux. I want to just completely wipe the drive and use the full drive. So when it comes to Linux is almost always more technical. You need to know what the fuck you're doing. Windows is pretty, although Windows you can fuck up too, but in comparison, Windows and Mac and crap, when it comes to partitioning, they're, in my opinion, less convoluted and complex. You know what I'm saying? Now, I think Windows you can also install a second version of Windows alongside another, and I think maybe Mac and crap, but Linux has built-in, encryption. And then also you can fuck and change the sizes of the partitions. I'm going to reclaim the space, which means I want to use the full hard drive. Oh, there we go. It finally accepted it. All right, so let's go over here and make sure that everything's correct. Now I want to delete. I want to delete those other partitions. So what you do is just select them. And then you would click, well, or you could select one at a time and click delete. You can also shrink, but I don't want to fuck with shrinking. I don't need that data. If you needed the data, you could install Linux, a second version of Linux, and I think you could even possibly dual boot, and then you could boot into, you know, back and forth, and you would still have the data from the first Linux distribution. Or you could shrink. Maybe you don't, you know, you still need some data, but I'm not even gonna fuck with that. What I'm gonna press on delete all over here. Well, I don't know what the fuck, dude. Did it quit working now? I might have to hook up a mouse. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to disconnect I only have one spare universal serial bus. Let me try it again. Well, I'm just going to hook up a mouse and not waste time. Yeah, I only have one universal serial bus. That is spare. Okay, now I have a mouse. I don't have a hub. I don't have another USB hub. I only have one. I need to buy one anyways. The one I'm using with this laptop. See, you could click on delete, or you could just click on delete all. After you highlight a partition, and now what the fuck is going on? Now, did this thing freeze up? Like, nothing's going on. Nothing's happening. I don't know. Come on. Come on. I don't have time for this bullshit, dude. The mouse works, but I'm not able to do anything now. Oh, well, it just blew up. Well, the install blew up. I'm not sure why. Well, nothing's perfect. Come on. Come on, motherfucker. I don't have time. You can also select from utilities, I think. Dude, come on. This is really fucking pissing me off now. I would not allow this bullshit if it wasn't CentOS 7. If it was any other Linux distribution, I would have ended this video already and just said fuck it and wouldn't waste more time. This is pissing me off now. What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is this doing? There it is. Jesus fucking Christ. All right. Oh shit. See, this is where you don't want to fuck up. You do not want to fuck up. Well, come on. What in the fuck is going on, man? I mean, holy shit. Well, come on. There it is. Okay, English. Oh shit, you know what? There's multiple installs running. Oh my god. I gotta close them. Yep. So let's otherwise it may not work at all, man. I'm surprised they haven't even blown up already. Come on. I'm disappointed. There should be a minimize here. Oh, it's still there. Look. It is still there, but I gotta close these other ones because I'm afraid that somehow it got minimized when I thought it crashed. I didn't press anything. It just disappeared. Now it's here. Now I'm going to click on delete all. But I think it's froze. It's not doing anything. It's like literally not doing anything. Well, I'm going to kill it. Oh, now it came back to life. All right, well, sometimes you have to do that shit. Computers are flaky and fucking weird. They are fickle. Sometimes they're motherfuckers. They're bipolar. You notice what I did? I went and I clicked close, and then all of a sudden it moved. Now I can move. But it froze up. All right, so I'm going to click delete all. See, you learn this shit just by having decades of experience. Computers are very fucking flaky. Okay, now it looks like it's going to work. So the entire hard drive was reclaimed, and then I'm going to click on reclaim space. And you notice on the right here, you want to make sure they're all set as delete. I don't want to preserve. I don't want to preserve any data. I want them all to get deleted, all partitions. So I'm going to click on reclaim space, and it may take a few seconds. Down here, there's a progress indicator. It'll take a little while. Saving storage configuration. There, now we're done. We're ready. I'm not worried about network and host name right now. I should be able to change that. That's not important. Keyboard, time, you know what? I think I'm going to change this now because I don't want to have to change it later. And I'm just going to choose something, how about mountain, or something from, how about Denver, Colorado? Yeah, we'll just choose Denver. That's close enough. And then we're going to click on done. And so I don't have to fuck with that. If you get the time zone wrong on Linux, it can be a pain in the ass. You have to, I think, edit 2 config files and shit. Keyboard, that's all good. I'm not worried about network and hostname, but just to show you, you may not want to keep the generic. It's up to you. You can, well, you know what? I can't now because I don't have a keyboard, and I don't want to. This also can be a pain in the ass. You just set your host name. You can set it to like a domain name, anetcomputers.com, but actually you don't want to do that because I have my website. And believe it or not, I don't want to digress. You could change it to whatever you want, anet.com, aaronsucks.com, or you know what? I'm just going to choose the default. I can change that later. Come on. All right, now we're going to begin the installation. This is not the fastest tablet in the world. We have to set, I want a user account. I don't think you need to create a user account, but I want to create one. So I'm going to create one. You don't have to fill in full name. You just put in a username. I don't have a fucking, you know what? Now I'm going to, Well, I don't know if I can even type. No, I'm going to have to hook up the goddamn keyboard. So give me a second. Yeah, I need to get another fucking, I need to get another USB hub. This other one I'm using is slower. It's only like 1.1 or even 1, maybe 2.0. I doubt it's even USB 2.0, man. All right, so now that we have a keyboard, okay, it works. Now I'm gonna all right, and we'll just do something generic. You can make this account user administrator, and you can require a password, but you don't have to. Some Linux distributions you don't have to set a password. What that is, just convenience. You wouldn't have to log in with the password. And that would be great if you sell Linux computers, or you've got a spare computer and you just load Linux and then you sell it, and then the buyer would still be able to, log in and use Linux. Anyways. I can always set the password later, but I may as well just set it. But not all Linux distributions allow you to do this. Ubuntu, there's a workaround, but I'm not going to digress about that. All right, so now I've got the password. I am going to make it an administrator account. And then I obviously, I don't need to worry about advanced, but you can specify your user ID manually. If you're new to Linux, I wouldn't fuck with any of this. If you're a neophyte, even intermediate to advanced, I never fuck with this shit. But you can if you want, but I'm not going to. All right, now we've got a root password, we've got the user account, and check it out. You might be able to see, you may not. Installing software, it's at 30%. I would say 15-20 minutes. It depends on the speed of the tablet. And then you can obviously install Centos on a desktop or a laptop. Any computer device, really, that supports Linux. Now, I think you can install Linux on Google Android now, on Androids, but it's not like this. It's not like just downloading a Linux distribution and then bam, bam, and then no. No, but it is possible. I think now it is possible. It's at 35%, so this isn't the fastest tablet. It's a dual core. 1 gigahertz, that's really slow. It is what it is. It has, I think, 8 gigabytes of random access memory. That's not bad. I have not loaded CentOS on this tablet yet. This is the first time. However, before I made this video, I tested the flash drive. I booted it like I showed you in this video, and I went ahead and tested the install. I didn't go through with the install, but I just tested to see if it would work or how slow it was or whatever. And I wanted to test the touchscreen. But I have not installed CentOS 7 on this tablet. So we shall see how it works. It's at 43%. That's not bad. without talking, you might be able to get away with installing CentOS 7 on a tablet half an hour, an hour. It just depends on the hardware. It depends on, is it a dual core? Is it a quad core? Is it an 8 core? Is it a 16 core? Is it a 1000 core? What's the gigahertz? What's the clock cycle? Is it 1 gigahertz? 2 versus 1 is double. You know, is it closer to 3 gigahertz? How much random access memory does the motherfucker have? That can all make a difference when it comes to installing operating systems and then obviously using operating systems. But CentOS 7, I love it. And it's the least frustrating for me. It's not bleeding edge. You use Yum to install software. You use Yum to update the operating system, Yum updates. You do not use apt-get. Apt-get is a Debian tool. And so any Linux distribution where you use apt-get or apt-get to install software on a command line, I'm speaking command line, is going to be a Debian derivation distribution like Ubuntu, Ubuntu, Linux Mint, MX Linux, blah, 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 blah. We're already at 57%. This isn't too bad. I would rather have an operating system that is reliable and doesn't cause me... MX Linux, I don't like it anymore. On my desktop computer, it lost the permissions for my user account. It set them to root. I don't know how the fuck that happened. I figured it out, but I was like, you know what? And then there was something else flaky with the login. The login changed, and I had to type in the username. It did not save the username for me anymore. And then that disaster where I couldn't even log in with the user account because the permissions had changed to root. And I logged in as root, and I looked in the permissions for the /home/user, and they were owned by root. And well, I was like, what the fuck? And then I noticed 65%. I noticed on this laptop that I'm using to record this video, it's a Hewlett-Packard X360 Spectra or whatever the fuck, or Pavilion, whatever it is. This one is fucked up too. The web browser Brave, new world for people with color. I mean, Brave web browser does not save the changes in the settings for like cookies and all that shit. And it's very flaky. There's some weird shit. I noticed today I installed updates and it asked me about the grub bootloader, and I'm like, oh my god. And with Linux, if you fuck up the grub bootloader, you're fucked. If you fuck it up, it may not boot. $71%. CentOS Core SIG. I don't know what that is. Oh, produces the CentOS Linux distribution. CentOS, I think, stands for Cent and then operating system, I think. It's based off of Red Hat Linux Enterprise, RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which has been around for decades now. They're not bleeding edge. They take their time. They test beta, but fuck, it's well worth it. It is well worth it. Because I'm hoping I don't have all these bullshit problems with MX Linux. And then my tablet. The tablet with MX Linux, it was okay. But what did I notice with it? I'm trying to think. Oh, the update wouldn't notify. I don't care about that, but I noticed the little update icon wouldn't turn green when I had updates, but then I would run apt-get updates, and sure enough, I had like 1,000 of them. Any weird shit with MX Linux on my tablet? On this tablet that I'm installing CentOS, not necessarily as many problems with MX Linux on my quad-core desktop computer with that fuckery with the goddamn permissions changed on the user account, and then I couldn't log in because because they root owned them, and so I had to change the owner to user and the group to user. I don't know how the fuck it got changed. I tried to search it, but I was like, you know what? Is it the permissions? And I just kind of I did an ls-al on the /home user directory, and I noticed that they were root. I'm like, what? 86%. This tablet, yeah, it's not the best because the touchscreen doesn't work very good. The touchscreen worked better with Windows 7, or excuse me, Windows 10 actually. It wasn't perfect, but with MX Linux, disaster. And before that, I loaded Linux Mint on the same Fujitsu Q572 tablet. It sucked. The touchscreen was shitty. Windows 10 was much better. And then also the video camera sucked with MX Linux. Well, excuse me, yeah, both with MX Linux and Linux Mint. I used Cheese. Cheese is a free tool that allows you to record videos with video, a webcam or built-in integrated video cameras. But I noticed on both Linux Mint and MX Linux, Cheese did not function nearly as well as with Windows 10. The Windows 10 built-in camera app worked pretty good. So I don't know what the fuck that's about. But I don't really need that garbage, but I'm just saying. It is nice to be able to record videos with the tablet, if you have to, but it's not like that. That's not why I am using this tablet. I did try to record videos with OBS Studio on this Fujitsu Q572 tablet with MX Linux, and it turned into a total disaster. It just was completely just not enough resources, just completely fuckery. I mean, the video, I recorded one video because I did not want to re-record it, but it ended up horrible. The video just was atrocious. It just froze up and at seconds at a time, and that's because OBS Studio would barely run on this motherfucker. Okay, we're at 100% installing software. The progress indicator is towards the right. You might be able to see it. It's towards the cloud, the Centos cloud instance over the little cloud graphic. The indicator is way over there already now. So this isn't too bad. It's not blazing fast, but oops. It's not blazing fast, but it's only a dual core, and it's a very slow dual core. We'll give it should be a few minutes here. This isn't bad. I'm just glad I survived that quagmire with that fucking... When I went to reclaim the hard drive space, I swear it froze up, and then I figured it out. Otherwise, I would have had to just power off and power back on and boot up off the flash drive and start all over. And I'm also glad that I'm just using a keyboard, so that's good. The touchscreen so far, I only had to double touch it once or twice. That might be because I'm just a little bit hesitant, and I don't want to move the tablet, because it's propped up the way it is. But other than that, the touchscreen seems to work good. Yeah, I think Linux Mint the touchscreen worked the worst. It was horrible. It was like, at times it was not usable. You'd sit there and click, but then the screen would think that you were clicking somewhere else, like below. So I had to be precise. I had to literally click above where I wanted to click. Oh, and then also Cheese. I could, in Cheese, you would open up Cheese, and then you would click on the menu at the top and go into preferences to make some changes. It wouldn't work. I could never get preferences I could never click on preferences and get it to open up. And that's probably because of the touchpad. So when it comes to Linux, features like touchpad, even Wi-Fi wireless, this has Wi-Fi. It has, I think, 802.11abg, and I don't know about AC. It may or may not have AC, but I am pretty sure it has N. You can run into problems with Linux with older hardware and even newer hardware because most computers really are not designed for Linux. You know what I'm saying? There's just not a big enough market share. But definitely touchscreens could be a problem. Touchpads can be a problem. What else? Wi-Fi, wireless drivers can be a problem. Depends on if it's Broadcom or Atheros or Realtek. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of contemporary Linux distributions, a lot less problems than back in the day. Come on now. We're sitting here at installing software 100%. Is it even moving? I don't know if the progress indicator is moving, but we'll give it some time. This is the first time I've tried to install CentOS 7 on this tablet, so on the desktop, the quad core would have been done already. Oh, I never set a root password. That's not a big deal. I can set that later. Root password is not set. I just noticed that. I have the user account has administrator rights, so I should be able to sudo. Well, yeah, sudo and then su, and then it should give me root privileges, and then I can just type in password PASSWD once it has root privileges in a command line, and then it should ask me to set the root password. If not, I'll just reinstall the OS. Not a big deal. Yeah, the thumb drive is being accessed. It's blinking red once in a while, so we'll just be patient. I'll be patient. I'll be happy once I get CentOS 7. I don't have that much data to recover, just some bookmarks, and that's about it, really. And then I'll be able to use this tablet for just... I've made money using this tablet. I can actually work online and make a living with this tablet, but it's very cumbersome. It's just not powerful enough. Playing YouTube videos is almost impossible. You can't really play 720 or 1080. You can play 240, 360, 480, but so this tablet has limitations. But I have used it before to work online, answering computer and technology related questions, and it worked just fine. And I've used it has HDMI, and every hotel that I hooked up the tablet to the hotel LCD television worked just fine. So that is kind of one added bonus, that this tablet actually has an HDMI. So you can just hook it up to a larger computer monitor or a television. Come on, motherfucker. Come on. Come on, I've been more than patient. I'm not sure what the deal is here. There goes the flash drive. I don't have anything else to talk about. I don't know. Can I set the root password? Oh, installing bootloader. Okay, so it is progressing. I think with CentOS, with this type of installer, I think I can go in and and go ahead and set the root password. Oh, there we go. Configuring install system. Do you see how fast the progress indicator? It was like over here somewhere, and then it just went. Configuring install system. It's raining outside, which is a good thing. It's been a fucking hot summer, hot motherfucker where I've been at. 90s every day, man. Blast, and a few days got to 100. but it's a dry heat, but still just every day just blasting heat. But I'm used to it. Doesn't bother me. Generating iNet. So those iNet ramps are the system configuration files. iNet RAM file system. iNet, I think, stands for initialization. You don't want to fuck with initialization files unless you know what you're doing. You do not want to fuck with the runtime levels unless you know what you're doing. There's what, 5 or 6. You never ever want to set a Linux runtime to 6 because that's a loop, unless you like to see an infinite loop. But I think Linux has 6 run levels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Usually I think default is 3, which will boot X Windows, which will boot the window environment. I think 3, 4, and 5, or is it 4, 5, and 6? Something like that. But you probably will never ever fuck with run levels and configuration files. But I've had to in the past. It's a good way to learn, but if you need a Linux distribution to run and then all of a sudden you just change the run level and now you can't open up X Windows and you can't run the window environment, well then you're fucked. So Linux has to me it has a learning curve. It's far more convoluted and complex than Windows and Mac and crap. I've actually had to repair Linux where I had to boot command line, change the runtime level, and I had to access the internet via command line, and then I had to install the window manager because the window manager got fried. You know, like KDE or GNOME or some of the newer window managers. Oh yeah, Linux is not perfect. But hopefully with CentOS, my experiences, I think I used CentOS way back, long time, maybe 15 years ago. I should have just stuck with CentOS. I've used Mandriva, I've used SUSE, I've used Fedora Core, I've used Linux Mint, I've used Ubuntu, I've used MX Linux, I've used, what was that other one that I used a little bit? There's one that's, anyways. Come on. I want to run. This video is already long. What was the other? There's a Linux distribution derivation based off of Debian derivation distribution. It was more for, I'm not going to talk about that, but it had a lot of certain tools like port scanners and shit like that. You could, scan. Well, you can download a port scanner, but this other, it wasn't Arch Linux. I can't even remember now. Oh, here we go. It's complete. It's yellow. Look. Complete. Now what do we do? Well, we quit. We click on quit. And the touchscreen, I barely even touched it. And it worked. Now the installation is complete. I don't know if it's going to reboot itself or if I have to make it shut down. So I think I probably have to make it. It quit the installer. Now I have to tell the live flash drive what to do. So with CentOS 7, you can click in the top right-hand corner with your finger. And you notice on the very right-hand side there is a power button. You click on that. And then I'm going to power it off because I'm not sure if the restart will even work. So I'm going to just select power off. And you will just see a blank screen. And then I'm going to remove the flash drive, and then I'm just going to power it on, and hopefully CentOS 7 boots up. So we'll just give it some time here. No need to get in a rush. And I think it's done. All right. All right, power it on, and it should just boot into CentOS. There it is. I can just leave it the way it is. It's got a rescue. Linux, most current contemporary newer Linux distributions have a rescue environment, but it's usually basically command line. It's not like Winblows. It's not like a system restore in Winblows. It's not like, Time Machine on a Macintosh. No, it's a rescue environment, but it just stares at you with a command prompt, and it just blinks at you, and you actually have to know what you're doing when you use Linux. But if you know what you're doing, you can get yourself out of quagmires. But it's going to be command line. All right. It hasn't blown up yet. Also with Linux, you will notice some thunder. With Linux, sometimes you get false positive errors. I wouldn't worry about it. As long as it boots into the desktop, you can ignore most of the hyperbole that will, flash. There's a lot of false positive errors in Linux. Now, you can go in the logs and try to figure out what those errors are, because it can. I don't know why you have to do this. Why do I need to accept the license when it's free? But whatever. You just click on the checkbox into the I accept the license agreement. I don't like this about CentOS, but then you click on done. You notice the touchscreen works just fine. And then I think we have to go in and do the same bullshit setup as before. I think you have to go in and set the language. I don't think any of this is necessary, but whatever. Why do I need to accept a license for Linux when it's free? But whatever. That to me is not necessary. That's just an added step. I don't know what the fuck's up with that, man. All right, we'll give it some time here. Now we got the user account, and and then if you click, you can test the touchscreen. So I'll click up here, but you need to be careful with Linux, though. Most of the Linux distributions I've used recently, there's a menu on the right-hand side for language, and if you accidentally click on that and then accidentally use your finger and select the wrong language, well, guess what? The entire operating system language just got changed. And if you do not understand Farsi or Arabic, you're fucked. You know what I'm saying? And it also has a power button, so you could shut it down from here. But I'm gonna try to log in, man. And I have a password. Oh, and then also a lot of the newer Linux distributions, they have a built-in virtual keyboard. And a lot of times they work. So I still have my keyboard hooked up and the green light turned on. So I'm just going to type in my password, and then we're just going to... So for now, the touch screen works, so that's good. But let's see if it works when I actually, boot into the desktop environment. Yeah, I don't like that feature where you can change the language at the sign-in screen, the login screen, because and especially with touchscreens, I learned with this tablet that yes, don't change to the wrong language because. And then I think it was with Linux Mint. Linux Mint was terrible with this touchscreen, just terrible. But I did figure it out. MX Linux was much better, but not perfect. But it's still very flaky. I'm hoping CentOS 7 will solve my Linux problems. All right, we'll give it a few seconds here because it's a tablet and it's not very fast. It's not bleeding edge fast. It's a dual core. Well, did it freeze up? My keyboard when I click on numlock, it doesn't turn it off. So it may have froze up. I'm not sure. We'll give it a few more seconds. Uh-oh. This does not look so good, does it? But no need to get all emotional and turn into a metrosexual bitch, boy. You just relax, don't hyperventilate, and we'll figure it out. Yeah, it may have froze, but what the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the keyboard. And maybe that's what was causing it not to boot. Or not to open the window manager. Huh. We'll give it a few more seconds. If not, I might have to give it a cold boot. I hate to have to do this because you don't want to do a cold boot unless you have to. I can also try to. Yeah, it's not responsive. It got all the way to the login prompt, and now I'm just sitting here fiddling. Fiddler on the Roof. No, that was a boring fucking movie, man. Boring. I don't watch Hollywood movies anymore, but yeah, I think back in the day I did watch part of it, and I was like, what the fuck is this fuckery? Why am I watching this garbage? I don't know, man. This isn't looking so good. I can try to plug in the keyboard again and see if it turns on at all. No, it's dead. I think the tablet is dead in the water. Well, keyboard's not responding, and it's been a couple of minutes now, so I think I'm just gonna perform a cold boot. That's not good. On Linux, what you can do is you can type in a command in a command prompt with administrator rights, touch space in the root directory, in the slash directory. Excuse me, I have to sneeze. All right, in the slash directory, which is the root directory. For Linux, type in FSCK. I think, isn't it FSCK? Yeah. When you type in the command touch and then space FSCK, it creates a file called FSCK. You don't have to have anything in it. It tells the operating system to run a file system check. But cold booting is not good with Linux because after a while it can fucking corrupt the file system to the point where it will not boot correctly. So, but I have no other choice because this motherfucker is not responding. We'll try it again. It could be just one of those weird quirks. Maybe the second boot will work. I don't know, man. I don't need to change anything here. At this point, I don't need to boot into the rescue environment. But, but maybe later on down the road. I don't want to have to fuck with Centos and boot it into rescue and then command line to get this fucker to work, man. Now, it seemed to work okay until I tried to log in, man. I don't know what the fuck was up with that, man. I don't have any external peripherals installed, like a external hard drive or a USB flash drive now, or anything like that. I only have 2 universal serial bus ports. Oh, this is different. That's a very, very beautiful screen. Is that the only screen I'm going to look at now, from now on? Maybe there is. Oh, I see the cursor. Yeah, the cursor works. The cursor moves. Let's see the keyboard light. Oh, that was real beautiful. It had a nice little pink tinge to it. That's very nice. Very, very nice. You know what? I'm going to disconnect the USB keyboard and I'm going to just use the virtual keyboard, and maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I don't really care if you can tell what password I use because, well, I'm not going to ever use that password again, so. Well, let's try it again. Oh, it did accept it. Look, I thought it failed. It said something last login failed, but whatever. Then it disappeared. Well, it looks like it just went blank, and then now what? What's it doing? Now the cursor disappeared. Now it went blank. Oh, beautiful. Oh my God, those graphics. Oh, that is just sterling. Wow, that's gorgeous. Oh, bright yellow just blinded me. Yep, I've noticed this with Linux before. Sometimes it's even on a Mac and crap. I made a video last year or the year before that, and the same thing happened. But that time I had to reinstall Mac. It just after the install it just fizzled and a nasty looking screen. And then I tried the Mac and crap reinstall a second time, and poof, it worked. Now I don't know what the fuck this is about. Is this just Linux trying to load the drivers? It could just be loading the video drivers. It could have been the keyboard. It could have been just a quirk. Could have been just one of those rare fuck-ups. Could have been a coincidence. We can just test the... I'll give it a few... Oh, you know what? What's loading, I think, is the configuration. Yeah. So we'll give it a few seconds here. Oh my God! Look at this. Disco. We're at a disco club. Oh yeah. That's more like being... anyways, I don't want to get derogatory. Yes. Ooh, I just love that shade of pink. Wow. These graphics are great. It's supposed to open up the configuration window where you select the language, like when you boot off the live flash drive. And it might be airing out. It just might not be working. So what can we do here? Because it says down here it has 1 of 4. So it's supposed to load that window where you choose the language and the keyboard and some other bullshit. 4 steps, but it's not getting to the 4th step. Well, I think I'm going to plug in the keyboard and see if I can perform a Control-Alt-Delete. Well, this sure was a learning experience. on. Yeah, let's see. The keyboard light turned on. Yeah, it's froze again. Well, no. Oh, okay. Keyboard responds. Let's see if I can do a Control-Alt-Delete. See if I can wake this motherfucker up. It's not responding to anything. Go away, man. Dude. Well, one more reboot. I hate to do another cold boot, but you know. It could be video drivers. It may not like the graphics processor installed on this tablet, man. We'll try one more, and then I gotta run. At the very least, you can use this video to try to install Centos on any computer. Just create a USB flash drive. Do not use Rufus. Centos, in their documentation, they recommend that you use DD. DD is a command line tool in Linux that writes to media. And I've tried to create flash drives with Rufus, and they sometimes turn out okay, sometimes they turn out fucked up. I don't know what it is with Centos. This last time I used the DD command to write to the flash drive, and those instructions are at Centos' website, and it worked just fine. So we got the pink screen. It'll probably fuck up. At the very least, you can use this video to learn how to install Linux CentOS 7 and on any computer that will support Linux. Tablet, laptop, notebook, desktop, and hopefully it works for you, but for me it looks probably like a no bueno. I don't think this is gonna work, man, but I'll try it one more time. 3 strikes and you're out. That's how I roll. 3 strikes and you're out. I don't know why it... Now the keyboard is still responsive. One indicator, sometimes you can use the keyboard light to help you. If you just, like the caps lock, one of the green lights, like the num lock, the scroll, what is it, the num lock, the caps lock, I just toggle them back and forth. And now I just noticed it's not responding now. So now it looks like I lost the keyboard. Yep. Oh, it came back. All right. So it's still loading the desktop. It's probably the graphics drivers. I don't know what I could do. I could install a minimal version of Centos, which would be command line. And then since I have experience, I can connect it to the internet, and I can physically manually install the right fucking graphics drivers, or the right, it could be the window manager. I think this distribution is GNOME. This is GNOME. Now it's booting, but it's supposed to open up that configuration window where you choose the language, the keyboard type and the language type, which would be United States for me. But it doesn't seem to want to open it up. So that tells me it could possibly be a graphics drivers issue. Because you notice how the colors, you're getting pink, yellow and flashing and disco lights and fucking rave. If you ever went to a rave party, rave lighting and all that buffoonery, and you know what I'm saying? Ground effects. Back, you know, I don't know if they do that anymore, but back in my day, we used to install ground effect lighting, and a lot of these police terrorists, I mean, a lot of the Gestapo in America in certain counties and cities, that's illegal and whatever. It's just a light. It just lights up the ground and makes my car look cool. This does not look good. Yeah, my keyboard is still responding, so that's a good sign, but I can't get it to do anything. It does not. I'm pressing Control-Alt-Delete. I'm pressing nothing. Well, this was a failure of epic proportions. Well, this is still productive video because you can use it to, you know, load Linux Centos 7 on a tablet and just look at it. Well, you know, it's pretty nice. Yeah. I don't know if the date ever changes, you know, just can stare at it. And anyways, I hope this video was productive, and if you do not like it, fuck you, get off my YouTube channel. I'm gonna go ahead and upload it because that's how I roll. I don't script my videos. They are completely freestyle. They're never perfect. Well, I wouldn't say never, but I go ahead and upload videos. Oh, look at this. Now now this is the text Linux boot up. So this is the text, what you see in the background. And maybe normally it doesn't take that long. I think it barfed now. Remember the first time it went to a blank screen and I told you my keyboard quit working? Yeah, it's probably most likely the window environment. GNOME doesn't work well with it, or it could also be the video graphics drivers, and it could also be both. So, well, anyways, adios. Still recording. Let me see if it worked before I blow it up. STS Roncon E de Ena Computers Linux 7 on a Fujitsu. Well, I have to choose the correct. It may or may not work because it might have been too late. No, there it is. Installation troubleshoot, but Fujitsu Q572 tablet is pretty old. It's only the best computers I've ever installed it. I've dropped it a couple of times, which it has a very tough screen on it. It's got a few scratches, reliable. But the tablet that sometimes you can buy for $35. One it was $50, and I was like 7 microslop Windows 10 on it. It was Linux and is based on Enterprise 7. Hosters use distributions if they always Centos 7. It's not bleeding edge shit to boot, but I tested this earlier and it works just fine. Let me move the screen a little bit. It's fine. This annoys me. I don't know why the fuck Centos 7 now. Then you would just click next. Then on this tablet. How long is it? Let's look into the properties. It's 1.5 gigabytes. I think it's still being written to. That might be why. Oh, shit.